So I'm sure many of you have a lot of questions, one being, why did I dub this the Unorthodox Fox project? What are the mods that I have planned for this car? What's my overall goal with this car? I'm going to go over all that in this video, just basically the whole rundown of what I want to do with this car and the end goal with it. I'll be covering what changes that I'm going to do about the car, the motor I want to put in it, the boost that I want to run in it. All that stuff will be covered in this video. Why I called it the Unorthodox Fox project is not because I'm doing anything to this car that someone hasn't already done before, but it was kind of a catchy name and I liked it, and it's kind of a hodgepodge of a bunch of parts that I'm throwing at it. It sounds kind of bad, but it's really not. I'm going to get into more of it a little bit later when I go over the mods and stuff like that I plan on doing to it. So my overall goal with this car was to have something that I could build in my garage. This doesn't mean that this won't ever go to the shop for a few things to get done, but the majority of this build is going to be done here and recorded. It's something that I didn't do with the Cobra. I just didn't really feel like working on it, honestly. I just didn't. This is different. This is something that I can, what I call slow burn it, as far as content, not like there's going to be one video every 3 months. I mean, I can take my time building it. My overall plan is to insulate this garage before winter and heat it, and I can do stuff over the winter. That's kind of the goal. It's always the really hard part with automotive content channel and a climate where it snows and gets cold in the winter, is when that time comes, you're out of content unless you stack a lot of videos, which I usually did, but that gets harder and harder to do every year as you cover more things and there's less things to stack to release later on. So my goal is to do a lot of this stuff over the winter. I plan on, like I said, insulating all of this and throwing some heat in here and doing a lot of this stuff over the winter and enjoying the car for the summer months for car shows and just driving around. As far as the mods go, I've driven this car twice since I've had it in my possession. Once was a quick drive down the road just to make sure that there was nothing that really jumped out at me as far as something that was wrong with it that I didn't notice on the test drive. The second drive was a little bit further away, about a half hour to a friend's house, and both drives were fine. It drove fine, handled fine for a 30-year-old Fox body, but I mean in terms of nothing really jumped out at me as far as this is really busted and needs to be fixed right now kind of stuff. The one thing that did really jump out at me as far as a glaring problem was the brakes on this thing. They're horrible, and it's actually the first mod that's being done is a 5-lug swap, and I bought a lot of the parts already. Some are here, some are not, and this is getting a 5-lug swap for the front rear, obviously, and a disc conversion for the back. I don't know why, but it kind of boggled my mind that I started looking up 5-lug conversions, and a lot of them had the disc, not the disc setup, but the drum setup for the rear. I'm like, why would someone go through the trouble of a 5-lug swap and keep the disc, keep the drum brakes on the back? I didn't really quite understand that, but I wanted discs all the way around, and that's, the plans for this and what I've done. I've already bought 94, 95 spindles. I have new wheels and tires bought. I have everything to do the conversion. I have brakes that I'm putting on it. All that stuff is, ordered or already here as far as, what I'm doing. That's mostly because, the braking on this is pretty bad. Going from modern vehicles to something 30 years old with drum brakes on the back, subpar braking on the front. It honestly was like, I'm going to die in this thing. That's what I first thought when I drove it. But it's all being, fixed before too long. I plan on also converting the interior over. I'll go over like some B-roll video. I'll do another walk around to the car, show you guys a few things in a few minutes. But the interior is mostly gray. I want it black for the most part. I know black's, black interior Fox body is real overdone, but it's what I like and what I want to do. So that's something that I'll be working on over the winter. I do have some original black panels that I found and bought for the hatch, which is one of the harder things to find because you can paint a lot of the stuff, but I didn't want to paint the real big interior panels. So I was glad I was able to grab those. So I do have those, and I'll be converting the rest of the interior over, or as much as I can, over the winter, minus any parts that I haven't quite sourced at the time. As far as the looks of the car, I posted this in one of the Fox Body Facebook groups, and a lot of people, oh my god, Calypso Green. I don't dislike Calypso Green, but this is not the best paint job. I would call this probably a mediocre Mako paint job. It's just not that good of quality. It's got chips, it's got some other issues with it. It just doesn't really shine all that well, and it's not the color that I envisioned either. And as far as like the body kit, it's got some aftermarket, stuff on the hood, things like that. What I plan on doing for this is the Savini Stalker kit, but a little bit different, which kind of goes into the unorthodox name for this build, is I'm not doing just a straight Savini's kit. The front is going to be this Savini Stalker front bumper. I'm doing a Cobra R double rise hood, a 2.5, double bubble hood is, I believe, what they were called back then for the hood. The rear wing is going to be the Celine wing, and the side skirts will be the Cobra side skirts. So it's kind of, and the rear bumper will be the Cobra rear bumper. So it's kind of a mix of, bits and pieces of other kits put together. That's the overall look that I want for the car. As far as a wheel and tire setup, putting the Celine replicas on from LMR. I'm not going like all out baller friggin', huge expensive wheels on this thing. I just wanted something that looked good. I really like the look of the 5-spoke wheels. I think it will look really good with the overall scheme of this car as far as how it's going to look in the end. And they're expensive, but they're not super expensive like CCWs or anything like that. And I just I like the look, and I think they'll look good on this car, and that's what I decided to go with. I'm running, actually have them over there. They already came in. A set of Nitto G2 tires for the front, and running Toyo R888Rs in the back. Now I mentioned before about changing this when I did the introduction video. I was talking about the blower and the engine itself. This is a 306. It has a Vortec V2, has a GT40 tubular intake, and it has trick flow 170 heads on it, and I'm pretty sure it's got a mild cam from what I can tell. It's not verified, but it really sounds like it does. A lot of people will consider this done, that this is a, how most people build Fox bodies, head cam intake, Vortec, done. Put a stamp on it, and that's it. This isn't what I envisioned when I wanted to build, this car. What I want to do with this car is put in a 347 stroker, and I'm not talking about this block. I'm not reusing this block. I'm going to sell this off at some point, and what I want to do is a Dart SHP block or a Ford Performance Boss 302 block. That's the plan, with a 347 stroker kit put in it, and I want to run a single turbo on 3 turbo kit on it. That's the plan. The only thing I'm keeping engine-wise on this is the GT40 tubular intake, and as I mentioned in the other video, I do have big plans for that intake. I do want to get that ported and really, bore it out on the inside to get more airflow out of it, and I want to polish it so it looks really nice sitting on top of the motor. That's the plan with it right now, and I'm hoping to get 600 to the wheels is what I'm aiming for. And one of the big issues with these Fox cars is the body flex and all that, and I do plan on running a Stifler's Fit system on it, doing all kinds of other upgrades underneath it to really stiffen the chassis up, running better components than what it has. It does have upper and lower control arms. The condition and age on them, I don't know. I really dislike spherical bushings just because they seem to ride harder, and I'm not building this for any kind of track times. I want it to be a good handling, well-mannered driving street car. So anything that's spherical on this is coming out. It does have a UPR K-member, but I'm getting rid of that, and I'm putting in a Maximum Motorsports K-member. It does have coilovers on the front. Those are going out, and I'm putting just regular shocks on the front. Probably for the shock and strut setup. I already bought ones for the rear, or I am fairly soon. I'm going to run the Bilstein B6 series, just a real nice handling strut and shock setup. They'll make it really well handling on the street. Convert this back over to A-arms that have spring perches on them, because right now it has Q1A coilover A-arms on it. Not running those. So a lot of this stuff I'm selling off this to fund, you know, other stuff to build or to pay myself back from buying other stuff with it. Now I did mention that I've done some stuff with this already. I'll throw up some pictures. I don't know if anyone noticed from the original reveal video that I did for the car, but this thing had black limo tint all the way around it. I mean all the way. The windshield was tinted limo dark black. The side windows here, the quarter windows back here, the rear hatch window was completely black. I went through and took all of this tint off it because, not that I dislike tint, it's just that it was way too dark and it was really cheap, crappy tint from what I could tell. And I'm going to have a friend of mine who owns a tint shop redo it at some point, something not so dark and something that's better quality. Another thing that I changed out was this had the snake cobra badges on it. This is not a cobra. Whoever had it at some point painted this Calypso green, and they put cobra badges on the side, which is a no-no because it's not a cobra. And there was a big cobra decal back here, and I scraped that off and took it out. You can see like a lot of the interior stuff that I'm not too happy with. These seats are, comfortable, but they just look like crap in this car. It's not even, I don't even know if they're actual Mustang seats or not. I have no idea if they came out of a V6 from some year or something like that. I mean, they feel comfortable and stuff, but it's not what I want for the look of this car. This harness setup is really janky and thrown together. I'm going to run Corbeau A4 seats in this, and their harness setup, their 4-point harness, and that's the plan. When I do a lot of this stuff over the winter as well, I'm going to rip this whole interior out. I'm going to pull the carpeting up, and I'm going to put some sound deadening in to really quiet this car down quite a bit, because it is pretty noisy to ride around in. Now, being that this is a 30-year-old car, there's all kinds of things that are broken or need updating on, and that stuff I'm doing videos on as well. The passenger side window motor is shot. The window barely goes up on the passenger side, and I'm going to redo all of that, put some sound deadening, redo the sound deadening in the door, new moisture barrier, put some other sound deadening in there, like I'm doing with the beneath the carpet in there. Just going to make this a more enjoyable car to drive. I haven't done any in-car video yet. I will be doing it, but reason why I didn't is I wanted to make sure I didn't have any huge issues with the car before going out for a drive to record a video, and then having something go wrong, and just it would have been a waste of my time at that point. But we'll do some in-car video driving throughout the summer and stuff, but it is pretty noisy inside, so I may not do it as much as in the past until more of this stuff is upgraded and it sounds better on the inside as far as the acoustics and everything, because there's a lot of rattles, stuff like that. It does also have dumped exhaust right off the mufflers, and I have bought tailpipes for it. They're not here yet, but I'll be putting tailpipes on it to not only quiet it down a little bit, but it's like dumped like right behind me in the seats, and you can just hear the exhaust rumbling, and you get the fumes inside the car, which really aren't too bad for not having cats on it, but man, it's just not ideal for something that I want to drive to shows and stuff like that. So I'll be changing that out as well. Another thing that's wrong with the car for being a 30-year-old car, the hood release latch doesn't work all that well. It's definitely on its way out, or it's done. It still works, but not the way that it should. The headlights don't come on. I checked all the fuses and everything. It doesn't appear to be that, so I was pretty sure it's the switch. So I'm going to change the switch out when I buy that. and just, you know, things like that to get this car up to par. My whole goal with this car was to buy something that wasn't perfect. I'm okay with things being wrong and needing to be fixed. I wasn't looking for a turnkey, already done Fox body. I wanted something as a project car to work on that wasn't a rusted out, you know, completely beat car. This car is in extremely good shape as far as the rust goes and all that stuff. It's a Southern car, so it's a huge, that's mainly what I was looking for. And it was just a bonus that it came with a 306 already in it, the Vortec on there, the heads that are on it. Those are all bonuses because I can sell all that stuff off to further fund doing other stuff on the car. So that's pretty much the overview of, you know, what my plans are with this car. And like I said, it's a hodgepodge of a lot of things kind of thrown together. The paint that I want to paint this car, I'm not publicly saying that yet. That's going to be saved for the very end, for when it actually gets done. It's a non-Ford color. So that's all I'm going to say right now. A few people know, but not too many. But it's going to look really, really good, trust me. So that, plus the brake system that I put on there, getting the GM Cadillac Brembos. I bought a kit to retrofit those onto this. So just things like that. It's going to have GM parts, Ford parts, different parts of different body kits put on, a non-Ford color. So that's how I came up with the whole Unorthodox Fox project name. Like I said, there's nothing, you know, maybe other than the color, nothing that hasn't already been done on this car before that I plan on doing, but it was a cool name and I liked it, so that's, you know, how I'm going to name the project going forward. But let me know what you guys think. Are you excited to see the build on this car? Do you have any suggestions, any tips, tricks, stuff like that to help me out with this process? Because this is the first Fox body I've really ever done stuff on. I've owned one other Fox body in the past, but I'd only had it for a couple of months. I just didn't really know what I wanted to do with it, ended up selling it. And now I have this one as more of a long-term goal, long-term project, much bigger aspirations with it. Because ultimately I want this to be a show car at the end, or as close to it as possible, at least, you know, in my eyes of what I see a show car as being. But let me know what you think of the project and, you know, what you think of my plans are with it and all that stuff. But above all else, thanks for watching.